Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of The Real Hosts of Short-Term Rentals. Each week we talk about a different topic in the short-term rental world. And this week we've got a super important topic, and that is how to create listings that convert. This will either make you or break you in terms of getting the number of reservations and the revenue that you're expecting for your short-term rentals. There's a small number of us in the group today. So we've got Dina from Canada, we've got Ray from Southern California, and I run Standout Stays in Sonoma County, California. So let's talk about listings that convert and what are the top things that you would advise people to do when they're creating listings. Ray, do you want to jump in first today?
Sure, yeah. So the main thing that helps convert is the picture. So people usually typically book based on what it looks like. So when they're scrolling through Airbnb, they kind of go through all of these different psychological triggers when you see a visual first. So one of the things that I like to pay attention to when I'm putting my hero picture is that how much blue is in the screen. And the reason I do that is because that actually helps trigger the mind to want to click on that, because it evokes more of like a calming feeling. And then if there is any features of a pool or a hot tub, that also helps convert clicks to your page. And so because people are so visual, the important thing for your listing is to also create a visual impact for your interior staging. So that means following some of the design trends that you see on Instagram or TikTok and making sure you kind of have those in there, because nowadays people are actually wanting to stay in places that are well designed. Versus just, okay, I'm here to stay for a couple of days for work. It's a combination of, I'm here to stay for a couple of days at work, but I also want it to feel good and feel organized, feel well designed. So two things that I pay attention to in terms of design is high contrast and lots of colors. That's kind of where most of our properties lie. Another theme that I like to pay attention to, if it's not the staging itself, is how you create your descriptions. So within your descriptions, you need to make sure you list out all the amenities in a bullet point form, so that way it's easier to read and people can really pinpoint what they need in that exact space. So one trick and one hack that I've done is to put my existing listing description into ChatGPT, ask it to create an SEO optimized description. So that way, when people are searching even on Google, they can pull up your listing for that specific search result, and yours is going to pop up on Google. So, and that's all free. So you can do that without having to pay for ads or anything like that. So ChatGPT right now is my friend when it comes to creating these listings.
Ray, I love the advice about using ChatGPT to get SEO optimized descriptions. I mean, that's something that is so obvious, and yet I bet you that hardly anyone does it right now. So that's great advice, and I'm sure you can do the same thing with the title.
With it, yeah, correct, yeah, with the title. And then I haven't tried this yet, but maybe whoever is listening can put in all the pictures from their listing and ask ChatGPT, okay, which one is the hero picture? Which one is going to evoke the most clicks into my listing? And then see and test out some of those results that you get from ChatGPT. A/B test. I know there's other prompts that you can do. I'm sure Lawrence and Dina have a few more, but yeah, that's kind of how I've handled it so far up to now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and using AI to help plan too. What should we be doing, like for staging and producing a good photo? So instead of just leaving that up to your photographer sometimes, they just get in their rhythm and their routine. You can create like a shot list for them using AI, asking it to, to help, like what's going to be what should we do for a hero image that'll make it the top 1%, listing on Airbnb. For me, I'm not a big color girl. I like lots of neutrals. I would love the house to be Kim Kardashian, all cream white, whatever. So to create that eye-catching photography for me, I am big on what I call like the little vignettes, the little moments that a designer creates with the decorative pieces, and getting nice tight shots on those, or highlighting some of even like the light fixtures or the interesting textures on the rug with the carpet, something like that. Like I'm big on editorial style photography. So like when we're doing stuff, you might not catch the fact that like the light fixture is got some really cool detail in the grand scheme of the room. So I always have the designer capture particular pieces and I layer those through my photography. And we do a lot of, because my website is more for portrait style photos, but Airbnb likes the landscape. I will take 2 portraits, like one with the tight shot that highlights that piece, and then the room that the piece lives in. So it's like a cohesive photo. So I've got like the dining room light, just the light, and then the entire dining room in a portrait side by side. And I lay them on Airbnb together. So I'm big on not necessarily pops, but like tight shots of pieces that people might appreciate, because we don't do tons of color. We do very, I don't know, like neutrals or safe bets, especially in the midterm rental space. And
when you're putting those together, do you use something like Canva to do that, or what do you use?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I'll have, especially when they're like 2x3, you can get 2x3s. You just have a nice little trim, a little white border, and exactly. I just lay them out.
That's great advice. I've seen people using Canva also for something like you have an outdoor shot, and in that shot is you see the barbecue in the distance. And then within the photo, there's like a little, I don't know how to say it, like a cutout. Right, a magnifying glass almost, right? Where you have a close-up of the barbecue superimposed on top of that garden photo. So you're seeing both the garden with the barbecue in the distance, and you're seeing a close-up of that barbecue. Because you're right, most people, listen, you have a second or 2 seconds before they go on to the next photo. So people are not picking up the minute details, especially if it's in the distance. So if you can highlight those things by magnifying them, that will make a big difference.
Especially when you're spending all that money on those details, you see them, but they don't necessarily pop in the photos. So yeah, you just really want, I'd say like photography for sure is number 1 for me. I love the editorial style personally. It's funny how many realtors ask me for my photos though. And I was like, these aren't going to translate to sell the property because we don't do wide angle corner to corner. Like rarely do you get an full picture 360 understanding of what the properties look like, because I'm just after that more editorial look of the rooms, not what the whole thing looks like. So whether that's a detriment to me or not, but because I'm in the luxury space, I do try to focus more on like that editorial style. And then for me, for usability from a guest experience, I'm all about that headline, because after you have your eye-catching photos, right, what a guest normally does is they wish list a bunch and then they go through their wish list. So now all of the photos you're competing with are beautiful, likely because they've caught their eye for some reason. So for me, sorting is very helpful. If I'm looking for, most of the time, I would say location's pretty important to a lot of guests. So identifying the location in the title is important to me when I'm searching. So I usually try to give that idea, like if it's downtown, and I don't necessarily, I'll abbreviate downtown like DWTN or something. But that helps me now when I'm going through my wish list. Where is it? So I try to give as much information in the title as possible. And if I do have a name for the property, I tend to put it at the end because it's the least important thing about the property is the vanity name that I gave it. So that's one thing that I do.
Yeah. I'm curious. I think we've talked about this before in the past, but using Canva to put amenities, kind of one of the carousel photos. Have you guys tried that yet? And has it converted? Because I haven't. I can't really tell if it's really converted. Any guess? But I'm trying to just reduce the amount of friction that they have to do when they're looking through photos in the listing, because then they don't have to go all the way down to the
Right. The best example of that, and I haven't tried it yet, but I'm planning to try it on my upcoming property, is on the cover photo or the I forget the name of the main one the first one of the five. At the bottom, I have seen superimposed symbols of a hot tub, of a sauna, of any of your key amenities, to have that on that photo at the bottom, sort of, as I say, it's sort of little icons there. So that's one way of doing that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Now that brings up a good memory of mine when I was looking through a stay in LA when I first moved here. One operator that does it really well is Sonder, actually. Mm-hmm. They put all their amenities on like icon form in one of their photos. Mm-hmm. So that way, it's not even worded out. That there's a pool, there's like self check-in, there's like whatever icon there is on the bottom. And then if it's not available, it's like X'd out right on the bottom. But one of the things that I remember was Wi-Fi was super important. And I was like, oh, okay, that's all in one picture. I don't actually have to go through the entire thing. Again, like less friction, which is nice.
Yeah. Another example that I've seen that I think looks really great, and that is if you have a picture, you can do this in Canva, where at the top of it says local things to do, and then you have, let's say, 4 key photos of things in the area. So if there's hiking in the area, if there's an amusement park, if there's a museum, or whatever the key things are in your area, if you have one photo that is sort of a montage of those things with local things to do, I would put it near the back of, or in Airbnb, you have a section for other, but it's something if people are scrolling through, it highlights all the things that they can do in that area.
I find that an interesting technique because I see that often, people putting their their local attractions and whatnot at the back. And I always find I'm like, that's when I X out, because I'm like, I already know I already know I'm coming to the area. So yeah, I just find that interesting. It's not like it's good to put it at the back if you're going to do it. But to me, I'm like, I wouldn't spend too much time on acquiring those photos. So what I do see is a lot of people will go like grab the local tourism professional shots. I don't know if I would go out personally and hire someone to grab those images for me, or yourself. You can just grab them from your local tourism board. So I wouldn't spend too much time on them personally, and definitely keep them at the back, because I feel like visitors are already coming to your area, which is why they've searched.
I did want to follow up with both of you on, Ray, you mentioned ChatGPT. It's the same with you, Dina, for other things. What specific software do you use? Because there are various versions of ChatGPT, some on your phone, some on the computer, etc. And I just thought some of the people listening or watching today may be interested in taking the advice that you guys gave.
I personally use the premium version of ChatGPT. I like Claude. Claude's another AI tool that you can use that can help make things a little bit more humanized. Whereas ChatGPT, I feel like it's very good at getting the meat and potatoes. And basically, it does the research, it hits the internet, And then Claude will make it sound a little bit more human, I'd say, for marketing. But at the end of the day, you don't necessarily have to pay for both of them. It's like $20, $30 a month. I don't even know. I just mostly use ChatGPT. And then there are GPTs, which are tools that people create in there, and you can click the explore button. It might not be available for free version. I'm not sure. I've only been on premium, but you click explore GPTs and you can punch in things like Airbnb, and then you'll get a whole list of the GPTs that people have created, which is what they do is they input rules, data, and information that will guide the GPT to build your response based on those inputs. You could build your own as well. You could upload and say, like, these are all the things that I'm always going to say about my area or whatever. And these are all the things that are important to me. These are all the properties I have. These are all the descriptions. And then you can ask your custom GPT to make an output that's just built on your information or on somebody else's expertise that they've uploaded. So like I use it a lot of times for like property management. There's a property management in British Columbia with the legal terms all uploaded. So if I have a question in regards to the legal, it knows specifically to talk to that data and not what's out on the World Wide Web. So it's definitely more niche down, and I really like using GPTs for that. So it's an extra little thing that can be more customized, but always double check your outputs. Always. Like, I cannot believe how many math equations are wrong. Simple math equations that ChatGPT gets wrong. So like double check everything. Don't trust it. Just like, don't be super lazy and just punch it in, tweak it, check it.
You can do those explorers within ChatGPT, correct? Explore
Correct.
GPTs. Okay. And Ray, what about you? Do you use the same?
I do a similar thing. I also use the premium version as well because it actually helps track all the things that you are inputting into ChatGPT. And so it takes more memory to be able to do that. And you have to do that in the paid version, unfortunately. But you can always do it with the free version, but you're going to have to create a new chat every time and some of the memory. The nice thing is the way that I do it is I actually separate each of my chats based off of like each thing that I really need it to do. So for example, if I'm creating a new listing, I have two different chats going. One is for like a marketing chat, acting, what the prompt is, act like a marketing manager to give me SEO optimized listings, X, Y, and Z. And then the other one is like pricing strategies for the listing. And that's kind of how I help determine the market trends and what's coming in and the different events that are coming in. I haven't used Claude. I've heard about it. So I'm really interested to see how to use that. But underline what Dina had mentioned, double check the output. Because a lot of the time, it's just too robotic sounding. So if you don't have Claude, you really have to put in some of your own touch. And if the way that you're writing your prompts can sometimes detect your the way that you speak and in your tone, but it's also not like 100% there yet. So yeah, just double check, I'd say.
I'd say the best advice I have when using AI is just use it every day and talk to it like you're having a conversation with a real person.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it gives you an output, don't just stop there. Say like, this is a great start, but I was hoping that you might be able to whatever. Just like you would talk to maybe an employee or an assistant if you're trying to refine it. Keep doing that because you're teaching it as well. Kind of what you're looking for, especially if you're on the premium version, it will remember. And it's crazy. Sometimes I don't tell it to be the best marketing, Airbnb marketing expert in the world. It just knows, right, this is your company name. This is what you do. These are all the properties. Like it gets better and better and better. But if you don't use it every day, you won't know how to use it properly. So it is definitely a skill to get those prompts right.
So I'll go last here. First of all, I'm going to talk about Airbnb, but this applies to both Airbnb and VRBO, and for that matter, for your direct listing. So for Airbnb and VRBO, my understanding is that the more things that you use in their platform, the more they like you and will push you to the top of the search results. So any of the feature sets that are available, you should try to use in the platforms. Going back to what both Dina and Ray had said, the most important thing is your photos. I would say second most important is probably the reviews. And then third most important is the text that you have for the listing. In terms of photos, I would say that staging is something really important. Again, what Dina emphasized, don't just rely on your photographer, because they may be used to doing real estate photography, or they may have a different notion of what type of pictures to take. So I would recommend going through each room of the house that you want to do, or the apartment that you want to do the photos of, and picture in your mind where you want those photos taken, what angles, if there's detailed areas that you want the photographer to capture. Make a note of that, and then before the photo shoot, go through that with your photographer so that they have all those details and they know exactly what you're looking for. And staging is also really important. And when I say staging, I mean, if you have a dining room table, set it with place settings and plates and flowers on the table. If you have a island in a kitchen, put a really nice looking charcuterie plate on that island. If you want to showcase a barbecue, either make or bring in hamburgers and hot dogs and put them right there on a tray next to the barbecue to give people the idea that it's not just a barbecue that's sitting there, but when you stay at this home, you can use this barbecue and look how fun it'll be to barbecue and eat outdoors. So anything that you can stage along those lines, do it, because not most people are not able to really conceptualize something unless they see it. Along those lines, for many years, it was sort of a no-no to have people in the photos. And the current thought is that it makes sense to have certain shots where you don't have the people looking at the camera, but you have people that are doing things in the photos. So maybe you have a hot tub and you have two people drinking a glass of wine using plastic glasses in the hot tub, laughing or chatting with each other, etc. Maybe you have somebody at the barbecue and they're about to flip a hamburger. Again, you don't want to have people photos in every shot, but in select ones, I think it can be helpful. So I think the best thing that I can do is take you through an actual listing that I recently put up. This was a new listing, a client that we just got, and it hadn't had any professional photography. So I took photos just with my phone when I was there. And we will be getting in a professional photographer, but we wanted to put the listing up as soon as we could. And that's why, the photos that you'll see were ones that I took. Okay, we're switching over to Sebastopol Gem hot tub fire pit piano views. As Dina mentioned, you want to try to add the name of the area that the listing is in. And you also want to put in the top amenities so that when people are just looking at the title, they'll know that those things are there. And if they're looking for a piano in this case, it's pretty obvious right up front. Then the listing itself, the photos that you use, the first 5 photos are the most important. And the money shot, or whatever you would call this first one, My suggestion is choose a photo that you think makes the most sense and is the most appealing. And then after a week to 10 days, go into Airbnb and you can look at the stats of how many people are clicking on your listing. And after that 10 days, change it out for a different photo and wait another 10 days. This process will take a little time, but if you have 3 or 4 photos that you're thinking, well, this could be a really cool photo to have as the main one, or this one, you'll know after a number of weeks which one gets the most click-throughs on Airbnb. So everything is about stats. So you want to try to see what's gonna do the best. The other things to include in the first 5 photos are your key amenities. So in this example here, we've got the hot tub, we've got a fire pit, we've got a movie room, and people do want to see the front of the house. I wouldn't say that this is an absolute necessary one if you've got more key amenities, but if not, then put the front of the house in the first 5. And this one, I've staged it with the yoga mat here and the blocks. I'm looking out the view so that people can imagine themselves sitting on this deck or doing yoga on this deck. When you click on show all photos in Airbnb, you can now segment them by room. And I would suggest doing that. I mean, there's people go back and forth about, well, you can't deliver people through an experience. I think that, again, now people really just want to jump to the rooms that they're interested in. And again, you're using the key features of Airbnb. VRBO has the same thing. So you'll see here, these are all grouped by room. In this situation, there were games. So I put out all the games and took a picture of the games on the floor. You've got the full kitchen in here. I didn't have the ability to add people in here because it was just myself. But when we do the professional photography, we will do so. This Tadina's focus is a close-up of the cool-looking stove that they have. And then dining area. I don't know if you can see from the photos in here, but this has been staged, so you can see the dining room all set up for people to eat in. So these are photos of the rest of the house. I won't go through it in detail because there's quite a few in here. Let's go back to the main part of the listing. And as it comes up, this may take a second for it to come back. But going back to the wording that you use and the description, as Ray had mentioned, if you can summarize all your key points, so here in the top section here, I've got property highlights. And you've got hot tub, immerse yourself in relaxation while enjoying the peaceful night view. Barbecue, dine al fresco while eating a delicious barbecue lunch. And ChatGPT can help you with this, but I would suggest taking each one of your key amenities and fleshing it out a little bit and making people feel like they're there. And then the space, I've separated this out into a short overview. And then you've got living room area, you've got bedrooms and a summary of the beds that are in the bedrooms. You've got the kitchen and dining room, bathrooms, indoor amenities, outdoor amenities, and other things to note. So this makes it really quick and simple for people to go through and look at to see what are the key things of this property, and am I interested in this property? Make sure that you utilize the bedroom when you're doing the photos. Make sure you utilize this feature on Airbnb where it tells you which bed is in each bedroom, because that way when people are scrolling here, they'll see where you sleep and they can look and see the different bedrooms. And then amenity list. in every photo, when you're doing photos on Airbnb, you can choose what amenities are associated with that photo. The one thing that I would recommend, in addition to what the obvious amenities, is add Wi-Fi to every single photo. Because if you've got Wi-Fi in your home, then you're going to be able to access Wi-Fi in the bathroom. You're going to be able to access it in the kitchen, in the living room, and hopefully outside, etc. So those are my key things. And then reviews are absolutely quintessential. So the quicker that you can get bookings and listed so that people can stay there and give reviews, the better, because as soon as you can get 3 reviews, then it shows up as the number of stars, and you want to get obviously 5 stars for all of your reviews. Anything to add to what I've just gone through from you guys?
No, the only thing I was thinking about, just to note, so I remember back, it's about the picture of the front of the house. Back in the day, we never posted the exterior of the houses. Then, when you were totally legal and licensed, started showing the exterior of the house. Except this fall, I got a call from a homeowner who was at their home, and someone did a drive-by, a client, like a guest of mine who was interested in booking the property, did a drive-by and knocked on the freaking door. Because they were able to see the house numbers.
Oh no.
So I was like, ballsy. She just wanted to suss it out. And I don't think she thought I don't know. Anyways, I was like, that was a security challenge. So I took it off. But I do believe like it is great to show people because you see like it is a whole home. You know, some people are, you know, when they search entire homes, you can still get a little carriage house in someone's backyard or something. So it is, it's a catch-22. So I guess it's just like, is this entirely 100% a guest property, or is it intermixed with, you know, owner stays? So.
Yeah. And I think the caveat along those lines is I would try to either blur out the house number or cover it up somehow, because you want to try to avoid people doing what Dina just mentioned. But it is possible if you're showing the front of your home, they could do a search on Airbnb. And even though the map is not always specific, people can do Google Maps and go around the area and find it.
My last thought is to use everything that you can with Airbnb, and one of them is booking photos directly from them. You only get 20 shots, so if you want more, it is a little bit more of an investment. Depending on how big your property is, it'll range from pricing, but typically from the ones that I've had so far, like 4-bedroom goes up to 200, and then if it's a 2, it's around 150.
So I hope that we have provided some great recommendations for those of you who are either new to the platforms or are experts and have been doing this for years, but these are some additional pieces of advice that you can implement for upcoming listings or make changes to existing listings. We want to thank you again for joining us. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the podcast, each week we are here with a different topic. Next week, we are very excited to have a guest from Minoan. So if you're looking to decorate your place, Minoan is a great resource to do so. And we're going to have a member of the Minoan team with us on the podcast. Please like the podcast, share it with people you know, join the chat. And we appreciate everyone who watches this, and we will see you again on the next episode of The Real Hosts of Short-Term Rentals. Thanks again for joining us. Take care. Bye-bye for now.